Welcome to Learn English with Poetry. This poem is Famous by Naomi Shihab. Here's an overview of what we're going to cover in this video. First, let's learn a little bit about the poet. Naomi Shihab is an Arab-American novelist and poet. She was born on March 12, 1952 in Missouri, and she often writes about local life or everyday details in her work. Her style is contemporary, using free verse, which means poetry that does not rhyme. Now let's cover some pre-reading. We'll start with some explanations. In this poem, we have examples of imagery. Imagery creates mental images in the reader's mind, usually through a short sensory description. It helps create depth to the writing and makes the reader feel a part of the experience. For example, the red, yellow, and blue kites gracefully dot the sky. We also have examples of symbolism. This is when the poet uses symbols, items, ideas, etc., to represent meaning. For example, a dove symbolizes peace. Now let's go over some vocabulary. Inherit is a verb. To receive something, money, property, etc., after someone dies. Bosom. This is a noun. It's an old-fashioned word for chest. Shuffle. A verb. Walk by dragging your feet along without lifting them fully from the ground. Pulley. A noun. A wheel that passes a rope or cord used to raise or move objects. Buttonhole. Noun. The small opening in clothing for buttons. Now let's read the poem together. Famous. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous briefly to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do. Now let's go over some questions. Why is the river famous to the fish? How do these examples suggest a different meaning of what it means to be famous? What imagery do you notice here? What feelings are suggested? What kind of life do you think is meaningful to the writer, based on these two stanzas? Here are some explanations for these questions. Why is the river famous to the fish? The river is everything to the fish. Since it's so important in the life of a fish, the river is, in a way, famous. How do these examples suggest a different meaning of what it is to be famous? The common everyday imagery in the poem suggests an alternative meaning of famous. The poet values the simple and common over what is traditionally famous. What imagery do you notice here? What feelings are suggested? The image of the bent photograph suggests feelings of caring and importance to the person carrying it. What kind of life do you think is meaningful to the writer based on these two stanzas? Considering the symbolism of simple things like a buttonhole that never forgot what it could do, the writer probably values having a positive effect in the world based on everyday, humble things like a smile. Let's make some connections. Talk with a partner. Answer these questions. Number 1, what part of the poem stood out to you, was memorable the most? Number 2, what are the positive or negative sides to being traditionally famous like a movie star? Number 3, what do you think about valuing the common everyday over fame? Number 4, the writer used images, a bent photograph, etc., to suggest famous things. What image would you use to represent something important or famous in your life?